Ichigo awakens by to lodge, chapter 86. Reiga fights with Yoruichi. She made her way deeper into the forest of the North Rukane 68th district, following the leader to one of Aizen's abandoned labs. Shortly after Mayuri informed the head captains of Kagerosa's treachery, he requested the Werecat services identify who were still the real deal and who were switching out of their fakes. And after doing that mission, she sent him the information by Hell Butterfly before tracking the location of where the real Shinigami were hidden, all of which led her to one of Aizen's abandoned labs, left to rot after finding that it was wiped clean 3 decades before Aizen's departure from society. She could feel some powerful reishi signifying a powerful bear sealing keto emanating from the building. And she took another step when her shoulders were pierced from behind. Sorry, Lady Yoruichi, her assailant, revealed to be a copy of her little bee, said while ready in a second strike. But I have my orders. It would never find its mark, as neither did the first strike. All the fake soy phone managed to hit was an after image of Yoruichi. The real Yoruichi flashed behind her protege's double and was about to release a devastating kick to her head when a large spiked ball came flying towards her. Moving quickly, she vaulted over the mace as it came into arm's reach before grabbing onto the chain linking the ball to its hilt. The Reiga of Soifon already next to a much improved version of Omaeda, with hair more handsome and muscles. It was a shame this was not the real Omaeda. I think the only thing that threw me off here is that Soifon would never let her interfere in her fight. Yoruichi taunted him, not at all concerned with her opponents still settling into a combat stance. You must be a fellow copy if you need help. You also taught her, as leader of the Onmitsukido, to us to use every opportunity and advantage point. As the Reiga said before the two disappeared, reappearing at her side with their weapons ready. Yoruichi twisted around Soifon's spear hand and kicked Marichiyo's mace into the building, knocking down the front wall. Reiga Soifon spun herself and landed a hood kick on Yoruichi's back, sending her to the ground. Shunko, the copy called out as she threw a punch down at the normal. Not fast enough, Yoruichi whispered as she disappeared, getting behind her bees Reiga and slamming her fist into Reiga Omaida's stomach. The man coughed up bile as he dropped to the ground, with Soifon appearing behind Yoruichi again. Shunko! The Flash Goddess said, activating her own Flash War Cry and deflecting Soifon's attack. She followed it up with a heavy blow to the ground, while the Reiga dodged. You missed! She said with a smirk, side kicking Yoruichi through the tree and slamming against another one. Maybe Kagerosa will reward me with a more fitting Lady Yoruichi after he gathers your data, she said with a hopeful expression, unaware that her partner was just killed. There's only one of Lady Yoruichi. The Reiga heard her voice from behind, turned to see her original Frida and the building she was meant to guard destroyed. The shock was short-lived as a Kyo-infused hand pierced through her chest from behind. I had to make sure I didn't hurt my precious bee, Yoruichi said as her protege Reiga turned to dust around her arm. Soifon immediately knelt before her mistress. Yoruichi, I'm sorry for... She didn't even finish before said lady punched her on the head. You better be sorry. I thought I taught you to always be on guard. The noble scolded before rubbing her friend's head. Looks like I have to retrain you just like old times. Inside, Soifon was squealing like a little girl. But first, stopping these Reiga. Right, the other Shinigami that were imprisoned have already begun to return to the Serete with Yamamoto. The old dragon twisted his cane about. Ichigo safely stashed in the secret location only he knew and made his way to the stairway to where the repentance cell once was. It was a wide open area with the other combatants doing their own thing, where the old man could really cut loose. He felt that the old burn from his early days, and with the Quincy return coming, he needed to be back into the flow of combat. His patience was soon rewarded when his opponent finally appeared. Reiga copies of Kiraku Ukitake, Unahana Ishin Komamura, and the one that he knew to be Kagerosa. This is truly an arrogant act on your part, Kagarosa. Genryusa said as he faced his would-be opponents. You know of the coming Quincy War, yet you would try to overthrow the Gotai instead of adding to our might. The yellow-robed man wore a malicious grin as he lit a twisted laugh. And who's the one responsible for this Quincy War, Yamamoto? He returned, readying his Rega while the Rega did the same. But then again, how many of the problems that the Gotai face that can be traced back to you? Aizen managed to get away with as much as he did before he defected, though Aizen was indeed careful about his actions. The Dark Ones trying to destroy both the world of the living and society. You let them live and let their hate grow in their exile. Kusaka, all because you turned a blind eye to Central 46 interference. The amnesia incident, how many hollows were in the Rukon that you never really addressed? The Kasumiyoji incident, that was because you chose to imprison yourself to an unjust system that kept you out of the affairs of nobility. The Senpakuto rebellion, you should have killed the Koga instead of sealing him away. Everything can be traced back to you and your weaknesses as a leader, and you should retire. But there is no way I will ever bow before that abomination you call your student. He roared, pointing his blade forward to the old man. In response, Yamamoto thrust his cane forward, and the Rega of Komaru blew apart, shocking Kagarosa in turn. I have indeed made many mistakes in my 2,000 years of service, the dragon said, as his Herode flew off and his Shihakukusho top fell, revealing his scarred and muscled body. And I've grown complacent in my pursuit of preserving this time of peace. But do not mistake my poor judgment for weakness of body, as only the strong Shinigami is meant to lead as the pillar of the Gotai in Soul Society. He unleashed his Reiatsu, and Kagarosa was reminded just how powerful Genryusa is. That flick of the wrist was a warning shot, boy. Run now, if you want to survive more than the next few seconds. He unsheathed his blade and created the ring of fire from releasing his Shikai. Komaru versus Torfon Regai, and the beasts wandered about inside of a bamboo forest in the city, searching for one of these enemies that were trying to replace them. It was a natural strategy aim for the lone animal away from the protection of the pack, so he let himself be the bait to lure his enemies. That and his Senpakuto always made for plenty of collateral damage to the surrounding area, no need to cause more damage to the city than necessary. He's been searching for a good while until he sensed a presence coming from above. He managed to turn just in time to block a sword strike coming from Soifona. Rega from the way her eyes glowed. Tenken, I thank you for making sure I trained for when I confronted grandfather. The wolf said in thanks to his blade spirit, certain that he would have died in an instant otherwise. So Captain Soifon's copying. Then let me test my might against you. He roared, swinging his Senpakuto down. The resulting shockwave is splintering the bamboo trees and made the ground explode, all of which the nimble clone of the captain managed to avoid him. She reappeared over the dust cloud, spinning a keg to Komaru's head. The massive wolfman caught the blow, grunting an exertion from the strength of the attack before twisting and throwing her away from him. As she flipped from the bounce of a bamboo stalk, Sajin released his Shikai. Tenken! He roared, swinging the spectral blade down as he jumped off the stalk and into his blade. The ground shook and exploded from the force of his blow, leaving a massive gash in the earth with a thick cloud of dust. His ears pricked up as he heard quick-moving footsteps to his side, turning to block, but was quickly stabbed in the stomach with the Rega's own Susumibachi. Granted for the pain, he instead chose to focus on his opponent while she was in arm's length. Before the Rega could get away, he grabbed her head in a crushing grip and threw his arm upwards, pulling Soifon's Rega along with it and throwing her at the ground. He then jumped away and conjured the other arm of his Tenken's power, the flaming bolas. Wasting no time, he spun them as fast as he could before shooting fireball after fireball down at Soifon's location. Each blast grew bigger and bigger as he rained down the attack, and the Rega, as it turned out, managed to escape and get behind him, having some nasty burns as a result. Komomaru, having learned from the last time, managed to keep track of her Reishi and swing his blade the moment she saw she was in range. The battle ended as the two halves of the Rega crumbled into dust. I wasted too much energy in this fight, he thought, panting from exhaustion. He turned to the burning forest, thinking on how much he wasted in this battle. With Yamamoto, the flames grew with rage and intensity, fueled by Yamamoto's own Reishi. As the battle began, the Rega of Ishin charged straight to the old dragon, his Engetsu flaring with his own fire and power. As he fired Getsuga at the head captain, the Reishi attack was cut in twine with a single swing at Yamamoto's blade, making the two halves pass him harmlessly. In front of Yamamoto, he saw a blade coming out of his shadow that was made from Ishin's fire. He barely dodged the attack, getting cut from his chest to his collarbone before grabbing onto the blade and ripping Shunsui out of it. He made another swing to kill another of the Regai, slamming a burning blade into Hiraku's chest and sending him flying into a fireball. Okitake stuck one of his Sanpakuto into the flames, absorbed it, and redirected it to the head captain. He got ready to deflect it when he heard Unohana finish her Kido spell. Bakuto 99, Kin, she called out, wrapping up Yamamoto and spinning his arms behind him. The fire slammed into him, roasting him in its heat, but ultimately did not affect the man, and that mastered those flames. Before the torrent of flame ended, the ancient captain swept him aside as he burst from the fire, and then stabbed his blade into the ground. Netsu Jigoku! The dragon whispered a red glyph, drawing itself out on the ground as he channeled his attack and leaped forward, drawing her blade with the intent to cut down the dragon. The moment she was in front of him, several pillars of flame erupted from the earth, six surrounding the combatants, and none burning Unohana to ash instantly. Is this really the best you imposters have? He asked with Kakarosa standing out of the battle, but trapped by the fire, trembling with rage and fear. With Hitsugaya, the moment the Garganta opened to Sosa's thigh, the Haribel flew off with the intention to finding her king, leaving the Shinigami that came from the world of the living to try to find their way to their own purpose in the battle. Each one felt a different battle raging, and either paired off or went on their own. Urahara leaving each one with minor Rega scanner, and Toshiro Hitsugaya went his own way, looking to find and confirm Momo's safety. She may have been improving as lieutenant and a soul reaper, but Toshiro still couldn't help but worry. As he charged forward, he noticed the other battles raging around him, most prominent being the flames of Ryoken Jaka, which distracted him into almost getting hit by a firebomb. You prove your captain Toshiro Hitsugaya. The young captain looked down to see Magai with Ikako and Yumichika, all three glaring and ready for combat. How can we tell you're not a Rega? Magai demanded, pointing his release Reika at the captain. Toshiro was on guard and trying to figure a way out of this dilemma, how to prove that he's the real one when his doppelganger was already destroyed back in the world of living. Then he got an idea. If he could improve it sufficiently, then he could turn it back on them. How do I know you're not Regai? Toshiro suddenly asked, making the trio look at themselves with short glances. Bankai! Toshiro quickly said, getting covered in a thick mist before getting his frost wings and starting the pedal countdown to his true form. Well, how do I know you three are the real ones of you? Amagi raised up his arm, showing his wrist. We don't have those bracelets that the Regai wear. What about you? He returned, putting the focus back on Toshiro. It's believed that these bracelets were limiters, and Kakarosa's likely had them broken to unleash the full power of the Regai. Hitsugaya returned, deciding to look at his Regai scanner that was mounted on his wrist. He revealed 4 Regai, the 3 in front and the 1 right behind him. The sudden appearance of the one behind him stunned the ice captain long enough for the Regai to run him through. Thankfully for Toshiro, the ice provided him with enough time to dodge before the blade bit into his flesh. The difference between life and death measured in 1/10 of a second. You should have just stayed still. Toshiro heard his own voice say, coming face to face with another Rega of him, likewise in Bankai. It would have been so much easier on you if you did it. Ichigo's mind was racing. Then his Rega die already? Were there multiple copies of him, or how many others had multiple Rega copies of themselves? This had taken a bad situation and made it worse. Some of the Rega were meant to be stronger than their originals, and there are likely many more of them. Hisugaya was pulled out of his thoughts when Amagi threw another fireball, slamming against one of the frozen wings. The heat from that attack, is melting my form. He noticed as Amagi threw more fireballs, one after the other. Damn my still amateur power! Toshiro aimed to fly away before his ankle was wrapped in glowing vines from Yukichi and leaving him vulnerable. The Rega took advantage of the chance and attacked him. Ikaku and Hisugaya cutting at the captain, with Amagi continuing his burning assault, and Yamakichi draining Reishi. Toshiro had to quickly block with sword and ice swing, regenerating the damage done to his dragon form. While feeling the drain of his Reishi, he froze his ankle and the vine with it while trying to gather the moisture in the air for something he hoped would turn the tide. Unfortunately, his Rega seemed to understand what he was planning. His Rega said, causing the snow fall the technique. Toshiro tried to flee, but more vines wrapped around him and drained more of his reishi. The captain could only watch helplessly as the snow dropped on him, sprouting the ice flowers that soon engulfed his entire being. You were never able to protect anyone, let alone Momo. The Rega of Toshiro mocked. Leave her to me, she'll be fine. Captain Hitsugaya, Amagi spoke up, gaining the Rega's attention to find that they were surrounded by massive pillars of ice. It's Sani Hyone Ningon when the Rega demanded just before the pillars began to converge on them rapidly. Bankai Reka Goen Kaku, Amagi roared, gaining his massive blade while Kikaku did the same. They began their own assault against the ice. Amagi melting with his blade and Kaku breaking the ice with his, and Yumichika uses Kido while Hitsugaya wrestles with control over the ice. The battle soon ends with the ice pillars falling apart, but before they could breathe a sigh of victory, they all froze instantly, getting faster at getting rid of those petals. Another Hitsugaya said, watching the frozen Rega fall and shatter on the ground, but not fast enough. With Yamamoto recognized the ache of combat as he continued to clash with the Rega, constantly dodging and blocking attacks coming from all around him with Kyaku, having his flames redirected back to him from Ukitake and the brute power from Mishin. To his benefit, with the Rega Onohana gone, they would be unable to heal and recover. This was a battle of attrition, but three captains of class Shinigami was still wearing an old dragon. Even as the Rega Ishin is headstrong and dives into battle, he thought, as the Rega in question tried to fire Getsuga at the dragon, only for Yamamoto to bat the blade aside and deflect the destructive wave of Reishi. And from above, Shunsui appeared and was about to swing one of his blades. Takoni, Yamamoto thought, identifying the game that the Rega was playing. In response, he quickly jumped higher than the Rega and swung his blade down, only for it to pass through an after image. Kageokuro. He suddenly surprised as the real Rega appeared behind him, ready to attack him. Ogloni, black! The Rega said before he made contact with Yamamoto's foot, kicking the blade aside and Shunsui with it. The old man slightly winced as he felt the damage from the amount of black he wore, but minimized it from not letting it contact his black clothing. Tamatsu, he growled before swinging his blade and unleashing a torrent of flames at the Rega. Once again, Yokitake appeared to absorb the attack. As he did, Yamamoto flashed behind the Rega. White Okutsu, like he said, just before pushing a hole through Yokitake's back. And then there were three. With the Kenpachis, when Yamamoto made the announcement for Saraki to cut loose, he and Onohana went out for a stroll. She undid her braid and was in her Yajuichi state while Saraki had his eye patch off. Both had their blades ready to carve into their opponents. Their hunt was fruitful as they came across the Rega, both as ready as the originals. The four Kenpachis stood there, analyzing their respective opponents and their worth as enemies. Well, this is new, Saraki quietly said, earning a raised eyebrow from Unohana. I'm not sure what to do. Do I take them both myself, or do I let you have one? Do I kill my Rega and leave the other for us to have some special fun? He voiced, earning an understanding nod from his wife. I've had much the same thoughts, she said, raising her blade. How about we see if we can even survive being our playmates? She asked with a dark grin, earning a savage one from her husband just before the two sides charged at each other. The Sarakis released a thunderous clang as the blades collided while the Yarichis moving swiftly in a lethal dance. Zaraki's usual reckless abandon sharply contrasted with Unohana's fast movements, releasing a weird symphony of fast-paced clings and heavy clangs from the two fighters. Haro 88 Geki Soku Shiten Raiho. The Rega Unohana shot at the real one, who dodged and flashed directly into her Rega guard, who took out a pair of daggers while getting into a sword lock, ready to plunge the blade into her Rega's throat. The two had to jump away from each other when the Rega Saraki released his shikai and brought it down between the two before trying to split the Saraki in half. The cleaver came down with ground-shattering force, but Saraki caught the blade before it made contact with him. Is this? The guy tried to pull the blade away, but it wouldn't budge. How strong Kakarosa thinks I am. Saraki pulled on the blade before gripping the axe haft, lifting the Rega before throwing him to a wall. I know I've held back, but I don't recall being so weak. Saraki roared before throwing the copy of Nozoraki back to the Rega. The clone punched the axe blade off its lethal course and caught it safely, ready to fight again. Bakuro 62. Hiaporankan. Unohana's Rega called out before throwing a barrage of light bolts down at Saraki, with the real one appearing behind her husband to deflect every pull of the spell. Haro 90 Kuro Hitsugi. Yachiru quickly cast, trapping her Rega in the black box. Suddenly, a furious beast attacked her, while a large skeleton picked up the black coffin and broke it apart. Saraki appeared above the skeleton with Nozoraki out and slamming the blade down on the creature's skull, shattering the entire construct. Yashiro herself quickly cut through the furious creature's body and made it dissipate as well, leaving the Tukinpachi with the Rega doubles once again. The Rega of Unohana ready herself to cast another spell, and Yachiro flashed forward towards her with her blade raised. Her Rega dodged, but Saraki's her actual target was cut across his gut, nearly in half. No! The Unohana cried out, having as much care for her lover as the original does for hers. That second distraction was her doom, as Saraki brought his axe down on her. The two Rega crumbled into dust as the two Kinpachi sealed and sheathed their blades. Never mind what I was thinking, Saraki scoffed, looking at the monsters as they crumbled to dust. They were too fragile. Let's finish the rest. I'm still unsatisfied, Yachiru said as they continued their hunt. With Yamamoto, with the threat of Ukitake out of the way, Yamamoto unleashed even greater flames and was more aggressive. The fire was so hot that the buildings were burning to ash, and clouds dissipated from the scorching heat. Unohana was integral to them to last longer because of the healing skill, and Ukitake could reflect his fire back at him. Thus, they had to be crushed as soon as possible. With those two gone, and the Dengen Yusei could stop being as cautious as he was. Kyoku's games still kept him on his toes, but the Rega couldn't get too close without getting burned, and Ishin's own fire Sanpakto was the only thing that kept him from getting vaporized. It seems Kakarosa is trying to retreat, the dragon noted as he saw Kakarosa opening a portal with his Raku. A quick flare of his Ryujin Jaka forced the man away from his portal. In an effort to confine the man, the fire soon constricted into a shrinking dome. Jokaku Angel, you will not escape from here so easily, Kakarosa, he growled, glaring at the man that caused such a disturbance in Soul Society. That was when he sensed someone coming up from behind him. Despite Byaku and Ishin being in front of him. Trusting his senses, he spun out at the last second and dodged the stab from the rage of Shunsui. Kageruki and Darumasana ga koronda, and after image to distract me and trying to hit my blind spot, cutting Kyokotsuki Kyotsu's supposed to be more moody, more hints of Kagerosa's meddling. He grabbed onto the Rega and swung his blade, cutting his opponent in half from just under the shoulders. Now, time to end this, the dragon said, facing his final Rega foe. West Rukon district of the Plains area. Rukia was visiting her family in the Shiba clan when Yamamoto made the call about the Rega. Since then, she's been keeping an eye out, keeping to an out of the way area, so as not to disturb the civilians of the Rukon district. She's had her Shirayuki at the ready and just waiting for an opponent, her allies, pretty much anything or anyone. Suddenly, she felt someone coming up from behind, turning to find Ragiko appearing at the edge of the field. Look here, the 10th lieutenant called out, flashing closer to the icy visor. Good to see that you're okay. The moment she was within blade's reach, Rukia held her sword to the girl's throat. The shocked lieutenant held her hands up and backed away a couple inches. Approach the real Rangiku, Rukia demanded, glaring at the girl she suspected was a doppelganger. Considering that these people were meant to replace them, it stood to reason that they were copies of themselves. With that in mind, she needed proof before trusting anyone anymore. Maybe Rukia thought for a moment before getting an idea. Remember the night when Captain Saraki and Unahana got married? How we had some fun with our dear Ichigo? She asked rather suggestively, all of which was pretty accurate to Rangiku. Rukia was about to drop her guard when she heard a Sode no Shirayuki's voice call out to her. She's not real. Haniko's spirit is not with her. Rukia didn't stop her blade descent, but she did draw a circle with the flick of her wrist at the base of the now confirmed Rega's feet. Tsukishiro, she said, using her power to create a massive pillar of ice where the Rega stood. The Rega knew her cover was blown when Rukia's hand made that whirl and managed to avoid the attack just before the ice formed. As she did, Rukia appeared behind her with her mask on. Hakuren! She shouted, unleashing her freezing torrent at the Rega and forced her to dodge again. Ground, Haneko! The fake Rangiku called out as her blade turned to dust, swinging at Rukia and forcing the visor to move. Bakuro 63, Sajo Sabuko. It's Sabuku. The Rega yelled, clenching her fist and wrapping Rukia up in glowing yellow chains. She was about to make another swing when another chain wrapped around her and a blade was held to her throat. I'd appreciate it if you didn't hurt my sister wife. Another Rukia said, ready to cleave the head off of her opponent when she felt a sudden chill around her. A pillar of ice appeared almost instantly after Rukia tackled her out of the way, with another Rukia coming in from the edge of the field. Thanks for the save, Rukia, she said as they got up and faced their opponents. Before either could do anything, they were enveloped in a gray cloud of moving steel dust. Neko Rimbu, my Rega surrounded us in a swirling ball of death. Rangiku warned her companion, who seemed to be focused elsewhere. Suddenly, her masked face turned to where Rangiku's Rega was and started her second dance. Suginoma, as she said, as a whitish blue ball of reishi formed at the tip of her sword. It's Zera Hakuren, she shouted before thrusting forward, dissipating the cloud of ash and colliding with another wave of ice before easily dominating it. The other Rukia was struggling to maintain her attack with the Rega of Rangiku shocked, but covering to attack. The Rangiku didn't allow that as she manifested Haneko behind the Rega. The Sapakto spirit quickly disabled the clone of her master and restrained her as Rukia's Zero infused Hakurin, consumed her Rega in ice. The pair took a breath of relief with Rukia marching over to finish the fake Rangiku, only for the real Rangiku to stop her. That's enough, Rukia, she said, looking at her copy. There are plans for any Rega who we can recover. Rukia looked at her companion, who was uncharacteristically seriously. You're playing a three with Ichigo consisting of you and your copy, aren't you? you? She asked, earning a blush and giggling in front of Kiku. For way, actually. She had I had another me in the world of the living, she admitted, making Rukia sigh. Pervert, she said, damn, why didn't I think of that, she thought. With Yamamoto, it was no longer a battle. It was evident that the old dragon had won the battle. While Ishin's and Getsu flames gave him some protection, Yamamoto's fire was even stronger. Ishin was indeed a strong man, but Yamamoto was stronger. Everything that Ishin had to challenge the ancient dragon was proven futile in the face of the man that led the Shinigami. And Getsu got Tencho, he roared, unleashing the wave of Reishi at Yamamoto, and the dragon merely cut it in half. He tried flashing away, only for Yamamoto to appear in front of him and punch him back to the ground. The Reiga was groaning in pain as he forced himself back up. If he had anything that made him like Ishin, it was the stubbornness of the Shiba man. Unfortunately for him, with no need to hold back or be careful, Yamamoto was just moments away from ending the fight. Distance now, the dragon said in that gravelly voice as he passed by the man, sheathed his blade before the Reiga could protest. All features faded and it fell into before crumbling into dust. In front of Yamamoto was a long gash in the ground that slowly formed. Perhaps using that Nadagiri was going too far, he thought before turning his attention to Kagarosa, who had already managed to escape him. That fool thinks he can escape. He gripped his sapakto tightly before sensing an appearance of Tuarankar, turning to find a dark-skinned woman standing with a man with a Van Dyke beard. Is Ichigo with you? The female Rankar asked Yamamoto. Yamamoto just now recognizing her as Halle Bell. He is, he admitted, not really where, and he is safe despite Kagerosa's efforts. That man dared to attack my Rei. How dare he? The man said. The man said, with shock before turning to rage. I Dordoni Alessandro del Sacasio will deliver judgment to him, he said before running off, already on the scent of Kagorosa. I swear that fool practically worships Ichigo, the shark said before bowing to Yamamoto. Please keep our king safe. This is our burden now, she said before disappearing herself. Advisor fight. Rose was visiting Love, catching up on their manga when the call came out. The captains pulled out their mask in preparation with Reiga of almost each member of their old advisor group appearing. It was the two of them against a copy of themselves. Shinji, Kensei, Mashiro, Hiyori, and Lisa outnumbered them 7-1. The exception was Hachijin, and the absence of the Kido master was not a good sign. Was he hiding somewhere or doing a separate mission? There seemed to be no good possibilities. You jerks, I was just getting to the good part, Love said, cracking his neck in preparation for the fight. The main character was finally about to find out which one was his promised girl. You're reading Niseko Love, Rose pointed out, unleashing his whip. There was going to be a cliffhanger instead, just like always. The Reiga summoned their Shika except for Shinji, who already had his out, and the two sides charged at each other. Before the two advisors could prepare their attacks, the world turned upside down, and their enemies were getting further away, or that's what it seemed, as they were soon cut, bashed, and blasted by their opponents as slamming against the ground. Shinji's inverted world technique. I love growled. The pair getting up as their regeneration healed them. That bastard did his homework, didn't he? He was about to say something else, but they had to raise their weapons to block an oncoming attack from the Reiga, Hiyori, and Mashiro. Surprisingly, they succeeded in blocking the attack, shocking both sides. Too bad they aren't as strong as us. They heard coming from above them as Shinji, Kensai, and Mashiro appeared, all wearing masks. I canceled out their inversion with my own, Shinji explained while Kensai circled around the Reiga and swung his blade about wildly. Let's finish this quickly. The rest nodded as a dome of razor air blade trapped the Reiga. The advisors all raised their hands and charged their Zero Blast. Mashiro's was a kick, and Kensai got out of the way. As the combined blast gouged the land and vaporized the Reiga. I better make sure that they didn't kill any civilians, Love said after seeing the carnage and leaving to do just that. The rest just stood about awkwardly. This seemed a little disappointing, hasn't it? Shinji earned a shrug from Rose. I guess it stands to reason that I can't use Hollow Reishi, he said, remembering just how new holification studies are. Inside the Keto Corp, a maximum security storage, two figures made their way through the forbidden section of the most dangerous area in society's relic storage. In here, one would be able to find a wall lined with stone tablets placed by glowing Keto spell seals, each one holding a map to the location of an artifact deemed too dangerous to be left alone. However, one artifact was still in this room. The one these two came for, quite possibly the most dangerous one in the wrong hands. The Hikoku, the target of the two, as they stepped into the amber glow of the many Keto seals. There it is, the smaller figure said, revealing himself to be Tesai Sukabishi. With that, Master Kagurasa's plan will no longer be restrained by the need for that stubborn girl. The Rega said as he and his partner, the Rega of Hachijin Ushoda, got closer to the seal before stopping a few feet from it. Commander Tesai! Hachi started as Tesai knelt down and waved his hand, revealing a complexity on the ground. That's a powerful one. Many forbidden spells layered together. We were expecting this when we came down here. They wouldn't let something like that be unguarded, he said as the two got to undoing the seals. They got through one before their heads were trapped in transparent blue boxes that turned red and separated their heads from their necks, causing their bodies to crumble to dust. An orange door appeared as the real Hachi came out to recover the Matsuos. Another two, Hachi? Tesai asked him, coming down with another pair of Rega of the Keto Masters. Smart of that guy to stand two teams. How bad is the real damage? Just the first one. Immobilization, the large man said as he got about to repair the seal. Maybe we should leave a warning that this is for their safety, he said, turning to where the Hakiku was locked away. The last person that got too close was devoured by that thing. With Kagurosa, damn! The clone thought as he sped as fast as he could away from the monster that was Yamamoto. How could I have miscalculated so badly? He thought that the Gotai relied on Ichigo too much, and they grew weaker as a result. He thought that the correctly gauged power and ability of the other Soul Reapers. He forgot that even though Ichigo did take much of the burden for almost every major conflict occurrence, the rest of the court guard squads made sure to train themselves as much as they could. He thought that they'd still fight with honor and pride. So society was now in the mentality of win, not graciously win, just win. They were out and ready to fight and kill any that disturbed what Yamamoto built with the original Gotai. Going somewhere, Anciano. He heard before a white-clad leg slamming to his face. The moment he regained his footing, he found a short, hollowed blade at his neck. That is rude, and we came all this way just to find you, Dodoni said, waving his hands about while shaking his head. Arankar, we really have sunk so low to recruit creatures like you. I figured they were joking, Kagerosa said, slightly turning before the blade pressed against his neck. Matsuos were deemed too inhuman or too dangerous, but mutating the soul with the Hollow Reishi or gifting hollows with the powers of Soul Reapers, while my research was to be destroyed, he growled, glaring at the pair before spinning his raccoon. Where's the justice or sense in that? He roared before escaping Hallibal's creativity and gaining some distance from the tomb. Why did he have to suffer? He cried out, getting behind Dodoni and aimed to cut him from behind him. Hola Azul, Hallibal calmly called out as she fired an energy blade at Kagurosa. The Rega master managed to raise his blade to block, but that gave Dordoni plenty of time to counterattack. The man slid close to his enemy and kicked him as hard as he could into the center of the man's torso, causing Kagurosa to lose all the air in his lungs. As he stumbled to regain his footing, he felt a blade stab into the base of his spine and sever it. His legs buckled from underneath him, now useless and paralyzed from the damage. We can stomach hate. We can stomach hate aimed at us. Hannibal said, walking over to his sword hand before stomping on his wrist. We already were considered expendable by our previous master. Dodoni continued as he took Kakarosa's cool way, but our king offers us hope, a future, and his love for his people. Raikou reverted to its cane form, which Dodoni stabbed into Kakarosa's other hand. We love our lord, love Ichigo, for giving us that. You insulted our king, Halibel resumed. Wanted to threaten him at his most vulnerable. She and Dodoni gripped his arms and shattered his shoulders, ignoring his screams of pain as they did so. To us, that is punishable by death, but lucky you, Kisuke Urahara convinced us to take you in alive. He and Mayuri have ideas. The mastermind behind the Riga could only whimper and tremble in fear and outrage as the Rancor dragged him back to face judgment.
End of chapter 86.